If you think The Wild Robot is just another kids movie, I need for you to think again. There are some things that I want to talk to you guys about from a licensed therapist perspective, starting right now. Hey everybody, if you're new to my channel, welcome. But if you are a returning subscriber, you already know how my review video goes. There will be spoilers in this video. So if you have not watched The Wild Robot, press pause on this, go on over to Netflix. I believe it's still on there. Binge watch it. It's literally a 2-hour movie. And then come back and chat with me in the comments. What did you think about The Wild Robot? And did you cry? Because everybody has been saying they absolutely cried during this movie, male and female. The first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is adapting to change and embracing discomfort. Obviously, Rosum 7134, or Roz as we like to call her, has been thrusted into a completely different and brand new environment. Unbeknownst to her, and it was suddenly. She was programmed for something entirely different, and she had to make a radical shift just to survive. But doesn't this mirror our own lives? Think about how many times we are thrown random curveballs in life. A death, a loss, a job loss, a new job, relocation, things that may not be expected happens to us all of the time. And it feels overwhelming. But the real question is, what do we do with that information? How do we handle it? And I think Roz showed us a great example of how we say, okay, we didn't expect this, hold on. But this is our circumstance. This is what we're in, and we have to make the best out of it while we're in it. The therapeutic takeaway that I have for this one is that resisting change can make us feel more anxious and overwhelmed. And I'm not saying that you have to do it perfectly, but I think the goal is to get to a place of radical acceptance that says, hey, I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be here. I don't even know how I got here, but I'm going to make the most of this situation. I'm going to do the best that I can with the hand that I'm dealt. And then from there, we do what Roz did. Roz learned a completely different language of the animals, right? She learned to adapt, she learned to observe, and essentially that whole process and that whole framework helped her to get to the place that she needed to get to complete her mission and her task, which we know got altered and shifted along the way. So before we move on to the next one, if you find yourself in a difficult situation, I want you to pose these questions to yourself. What can I learn while I'm here? And also, how do I adapt and make the most out of this situation, even though it wasn't planned? Whew. Moving on. The second thing that I want to talk to you guys about in regards to The Wild Robot is building connection and creating a community. We initially know that Roz was all kind of confused because one, not only was she alone and in a strange place, but also all of the other animals on the island was scared of her because she looked foreign, right? Like they never seen a robot before. They never seen anyone talk like that and move like that all, like that just wasn't the process. So not only was she scared because she was by herself and didn't have someone to give her the command or the task to complete her little mission to begin with, but also the animals were like, are you here to kill us? Like, what are you? Who are you? Why are you here? But as we see, Roz adapted to her situation, like I mentioned in the first one. She also learned how to build relationships. It took a little bit of trial and error, right? Because obviously she's not someone that feels initially, but she absolutely started to build relationships and community with the possum. She built community with Fink, the fox. She obviously built a really great parent-child relationship with Brightbill, which was completely unexpected. And I don't even think I have this one in my notes. Maybe I need to do a completely separate video about Brightbill because I just realized that he went through so much trauma very early on, losing his parents, not knowing who his mother truly was, and just really following Roz and allowing Roz to, show him how to fly, show him how to swim, show him how to eat and what to eat and all of those things, even though that wasn't in Roz's natural nature. Takeaway from this one is that we all need connection, robot or no robot, animal or no animal. But in all seriousness, we do. We all need connection. I believe that is what we are meant for and built for, is for love and connectivity with others. I don't even have to tell you guys this, but we know that loneliness right, can contribute to mental health challenges. Isolation can contribute to mental health challenges. So what Ross teaches us is that even though you might feel like a stranger, you might feel like an outsider, you might feel like you're different than other people, it's still important to make attempts to build relationships and connectivity. So I want you to think about your own life. Are you nurturing connections and relationships? Are you open to forming new ones, even if people are different than you? Because we know building a strong support system, whether that's people who look like you, who are different than you, who come from different ethnicities, sexual orientation, age, race, whatever the case may be, to have a powerful buffer. So when life stressors and life instances happen and come your way, you do have someone that you can reach out to support you on your journey. The third thing that I want to talk to you guys about in regards to the wild robot is finding your purpose beyond your programming or your expectation. Roz was built for a specific purpose. She was programmed that way. That's all she knew, right? But when she was on this island, she absolutely had to adapt, to shift, and to change and find a new purpose. Hence, raising Bright Bill, hence being a mother, and really learning to not just operate with how she was built, but actually having a mind of her own, overriding her own system to say, hey, I really need to do something that's counterintuitive to what I know to be able to help Bright Bill. And that was super dope to watch, you know, even though obviously we know she was a robot, but to think that she overrode her own system to be able to care and nurture Bright Bill, who she obviously loved, was so beautiful, and sacrificed herself for all of the animals on the island was super dope. So she gave herself an additional or an extra or a new purpose, even though her original plan and purpose got altered. Now, this one got me because it really speaks to how often we feel like we are programmed by societal measures. Oh, you have to have kids by this age. You have to have a career by this age. You have to be this way. You have to have this type of skin color. You have to know these, you have this much money and this level of intelligence. All of these things that society tells us that we have to be, or we have to obtain during a certain time or by a certain time. It encourages all of us to look beyond the initial blueprint. And sometimes the purpose is to discover our purpose along the way. What brings you joy? What brings you satisfaction? What brings you peace? What brings you happiness? Even though it's counterintuitive or different than what society may say. So I'm just going to say it like this. Your purpose could be waiting for you to experience something unexpected in your life in order for you to arise to the occasion. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the resilience or the desire to overcome adversity. I kind of touched on this already in the beginning, but this one really stuck to me, and I wanted to talk to you guys about this because Roz was a beautiful example of what this looked like played out in this movie. Roz had mad challenges, right? She's in a new environment. She's a distrust of all of the different animals. A harsh environment. There is a level of death that's trying to come up on her for her existence. There's a whole bunch of things that's happening with her, but she chose this. She allowed this to bring her the opportunities for her to really just bounce back and be even greater than before. Roz never gave up. When we talk about incredible resilience, she did not give up no matter what people did to her. Even when they were like, whoa, who are you? What are you? Why are you doing this? She still was so kind and helpful and went and saved all the animals when they were going through a horrible snow season. She went and took out all of the little pricks when Fink the fox got pricked by the porcupine, right? Like, she could have easily killed Finks. There was just so many things that she did out of the kindness of her heart. And I thought that that was beautiful because she didn't always get that reciprocity that we hope for as humans. We think, oh, when we do something nice, somebody got to do something nice to us. But what about just doing something nice just for the sake of doing it nice, right? And out of the kindness of your heart and not expecting anything in return. Because we all know that adversity is going to come. Life is going to throw us those curveballs all of the time. But it's not really about that. It's about how you bounce back. If you are going through life avoiding or trying your best to avoid hardships, that's not a way to live. It's really about your capacity to bounce back, your ability to bounce back, your desire to want to bounce back. It happens when you learn from your setbacks, when you develop coping mechanisms, when you start to develop emotional intelligence, like Roz did. These were some of the examples of how she was just an amazing example of what we need to do when life throws us curveballs. Life gives us lemon, we need to make a lemonade. I want to talk to you guys about in regards to the wild robot is really the cycle of life. We see birth, you know, when Bright Bill was born and she was just a little, or he was just a little egg, and, you know, Roz had to take care of him, and then he hatched, and then he got bigger, and he started to learn how to eat worms and fly and swim and do all of these things. And we know that Bright Bill didn't fit in either, right? Because obviously people thought like, ooh, you're a weirdo, you were raised by a weirdo, where's your real parents? All of these things, because Roz was a robot. And so Bright Bill had mannerisms like a robot. It happens to us humans too, right? It's like when we have children, our children typically mimic us. When they're 2 and 3 years old, they say what we say. They act how we act. They do what we do, right? That's why it's important to make sure that during those formative years, those first few years, people say 1 through 5, but I believe 1 through 10 years old is extremely important. You have to make sure that you have that support system. You have to make sure that you get all of the love and the safety and everything that you're supposed to get in those primary years, because that's going to set you up for success as an adult. Not only was it like the circle of life because animals were eating each other, obviously, right? That's a form of loss and death as well, but also Roz dying to herself, right? Her programming, what she was initially meant to do, that is a form of a loss. Bright Bill losing his parents and his family, that was a loss. Fink not having any parents and anybody but Bright Bill and Roz, that's a loss. There's just so much that was happening in regards to loss in this movie. Think of death and loss as a horrible, a bad thing, but sometimes we need to allow that to serve as a new beginning on the other side of that. Some of the therapeutic takeaways and the nuggets that I came across. So if you love my review on this, please do not hesitate to watch more of my animated movie and TV show reviews right here.